And thank you for joining our Introducing Untangle IC Control demo, or IC Control 101. My name is Emily Wilson, Director of Global Sales for Untangle. And I really appreciate you taking some time today to join us and learn more about the IC Control product line. Just a bit of housekeeping. You are all muted for listening purposes only, to make sure that we don't have feedback from users that interfere with the broadcast. So if you have any questions, please feel free to use your question panel to the right-hand side of your screen. And we do have some folks on the back end at Untangle headquarters that are available to answer questions as we go through the presentation. And if you don't get your question answered, always feel free to contact sales@untangle.com for more information. So today's agenda, what we're going to cover is what is Internet Content Control Solution, how we implement the solution, a little bit of a breakdown on things that are offered within the product. And then we're going to do a demonstration, which is the exciting part, so everybody stay tuned and pay attention to the PowerPoint until we get there. And then we'll talk about some resources that you can use after this call for getting more information and hopefully becoming one of our many happy customers. So first, let me start off by saying that Untangle offers two product lines so that everyone is aware. We have an Untangle NG Firewall product, which is great for small to medium organizations and K-12 institutions. It includes a lot of networking functionality like firewalls and routing. It handles security, it does filtering, performance, policy enforcement, VPN, and is available either in a hardware or a software solution. Then we have the Untangle IC Control, which is the product we're highlighting today. It's ideal for larger organizations with even multi-site deployments. And we offer traffic management, shaping and optimization, and filtering for up to 10 gigs. We also offer a mobile device management piece, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So what IC Control offers is full internet management. It helps you get a grip on all of your different traffic types. It gives you insight, including integration with Active Directory to give you identity-based reports, showing you all web activity and application data. This information is also available in various correlations so that you can diagnose problems within your internet connection. And a lot of our customers give us feedback that they can actually find information in our one appliance that they would typically need 4 different solutions on their network in order to gather the same information. We also then, once you have the insight and the clarity into what's going over your internet connection, we offer you the control. The ability to improve performance as far as better utilizing your bandwidth, and reliability of internet connections, being able to get to specific websites, and handling these things on all different levels, a lot of very granular policy control. The most important thing to our customers in our experience has been really 4 different types of traffic. And these are the things that the IC Control can help you handle. Inappropriate traffic is always those things that you're probably going to want to block. Those things can be many different things. It's not just content, right? Today it's not just content. It could also be things like malware, threats, peer-to-peer applications, or maybe it's even unauthorized mobile devices that you just want to prevent from accessing the internet connection. Then you have your recreational traffic. These are the things that all organizations kind of struggle with probably on a daily basis, right? Trying to decide if it's okay for their users to access things like Facebook, or what kind of effect will Spotify have on my internet connection. Streaming media, things like Netflix. Another really popular topic for our customers would be March Madness. How do we handle those sports sites and folks checking their brackets and watching the latest clips during that time of the year? Then we have our relevant and our critical. And those are the things that we need to make sure take the front seat to all of our other traffic. We want to make sure that as we utilize cloud-based services, that they have the internet access that they need. That if I'm an insurance office and I need people to get to Blue Cross Blue Shield to enter claims, that website is available. And that's the type of control you want. You want to be able to see things on an application and a specific URL basis and get a desired result for your end users. So what does IC Control do for you? It gives you the ability to handle business-critical cloud services and app performance, get rid of risky traffic like BitTorrent and UltraSurf, take care of bandwidth drains. Make sure that things are not saturating your bandwidth and making the things that are more important to your organization flow well. And policy violations like inappropriate content that should never be allowed on your network. So being able to put these policies in place so no one has to go over and reprimand someone. You just take the control back, and your users then have access to the internet the way that you want them to. And all of this is in real time and in an actionable format available for networks up to 10 gigabits. So how do we deploy IC Control? How is it implemented? A typical deployment for us is going to be an inline, transparent bridge. And we are going to sit in the flow of traffic right inside your firewall before your core switch or router so that we can see and be in the flow of traffic and be able to identify and give you that clarity that I mentioned earlier. We also offer an IC Control Manager. What this does is for organizations that have to implement more than one IC Control device. For example, you have a headquarters and then you have 5 remote sites. And they each have their own internet access, and they're each accessing the internet through their own connection. You want to put an IC Control device at each one of those sites, but you don't want to necessarily have to log into each individual one in order to apply policies which may be the same across your entire organization. So you can use an IC Control Manager that is placed anywhere in your infrastructure to centrally manage and centrally report on all of those devices. So that helps just sort of tie all those devices together and make it one single point for control. We also offer, as I mentioned earlier, a remote filter. And this is for supporting Windows devices, Macintosh OS devices, and iOS, including iPads. This can be used for organizations that are handing out devices and they are going to leave the network. You still want to make sure that those devices are protected even when they're off of your internet connection. And it's pretty cool because our system is very slick, and with that mobile device management piece, we can even tell if that device is on or off network, and you can run policies according to that information. So if you wanted to block Facebook while they're on the network but allow them to go to Facebook when they're at home or at a local Starbucks, you have that ability, and our IC Control can help you identify that. So now we're going to jump over and do a demonstration of the product. I'm going to switch my screen. And as you can see, this is the interface of the product, the home page for the IC Control device. And the way that I like to present the product is on a high level to sort of address the average day-to-day system admin and what their challenges are as far as an internet connection and managing users and content. If I got a call that there was latency on the network, the first place that I would go within the IC Control device would be my RealTime Monitor. As I mentioned earlier, a lot of our customers express that they love the fact that they can go into our box and identify a lot of information very quickly. And again, just having to check this one system rather than maybe 4 things on their network. The RealTime Monitor is definitely a part of that positive feedback that we get from customers. The RealTime Monitor shows you your connection as it traverses through the appliance. And it gives you a lot of information as far as total upload and download. But I feel that the most important thing about this report is our legend at the bottom, which is showing our application set. I can see that streaming media here is in the first position, and it's going to jump around a little bit between first and second position as, again, that connection traverses over our bridge. And if I saw streaming media in the top position or even in the top 1 to 3 position, that would definitely throw up some alarm. And I would want to definitely correlate this report to see who's actually causing that traffic, because that could be something that is saturating my network and preventing the person who called me and said that there was latency, could be preventing them from getting to more mission-critical applications and websites. I can correlate my reports within the IC Control by simply right-clicking and picking from the correlation. I can see that I've got Kevin McCanson here in the top position as far as streaming media is concerned in the last hour, utilizing 76% of my bandwidth. That's really important to me, and I'm definitely going to take this information that I've learned from the RealTime Monitor and then also dig in and look at some more information, trying to identify other issues before I go up and run a policy. But it's good to know that right off of this report, I could jump into the Manage tab, make an adjustment to how streaming media is handled, and get an immediate reaction from the network and contain this type of activity. But now let's move on to our web usage report. I'm going to take a look at directory user by hits. Again, I'm going through reports trying to educate myself on what is really going on my internet connection. So back in the day when the internet first came out, it was all about hits, right? People surfing and people going around and clicking all over the internet. And sometimes in traditional filtering, the finger would be pointed at somebody like Nate Hardcount, because he's got 33,935 hits, utilizing 18% of my total HTTP traffic is Nate Hardcount. And sometimes I would think, wow, all those hits must also correlate with bandwidth, but that isn't always the case. So the first step I'm going to take is I'm going to dig into Nate's content, and I want to see what host sites maybe he's been visiting, see where he's most active. And I'll also take this opportunity to say that all of our reporting is actually on the appliance. So your appliance is going to store approximately 9 months to a year's worth of data, which really helps in running reports and also getting a lot of great history. So if I needed to know what Nate did 3 months ago on a given day because I had an HR incident, that information is all going to reside on the appliance. So I've correlated this report by host site to see what Nate has done in the last 24 hours. And I can see that there's a lot of FBCDN, Facebook stuff. I know from experience that FBCDN is Facebook. And so, he's got a lot going on. He's running around all over the internet, 1,400 hits to Facebook. He's got some Google. And I can even correlate this and look at the URL detail. And that helps us get, again, even one more step more granular to look at what pages within that host site that user was clicking on. This can be very helpful, again, in HR incidents. So I'm going to go back to my directory user by hits report. And I'm also going to take a look at my friend Kevin, right, who I identified was a problem within my RealTime Monitor. And I can see that Kevin is down here in the 8th position. He's only got 12,337 hits. That's interesting, right? Nate's got all these hits. Kevin has less. In my RealTime Monitor, he was utilizing a ton of bandwidth. What's awesome, too, is over here in our taskbar, we have a lot of little quick links to things, such as adding a favorites link to this particular report. If I found a report that was helpful, I could add it to my favorites. But I'm going to click here on this View Bandwidth Report, and I'm going to be able to now flip this report to see, yeah, do hits really correlate to bandwidth, and what kind of effect are these two users having on bandwidth? And I can see now that it's a very different picture than the one I saw before. Nate Hardcount is now in the 6th position as far as bandwidth, and Kevin McAnson is up here in the 1st position. So let's take a look and see what specifically Kevin McAnson is doing. Let's check out his host sites and kind of make some judgment on his sites having more bandwidth saturation to my network. What do those sites look like? Maybe I need to take some action. I can see here that he's doing a lot of GrooveShark activity in YouTube. Well, GrooveShark is sort of like a Spotify or a Pandora, and so I know that he's doing quite a bit of streaming media. And it could be that he's maybe not even listening to these things, right? It could be that he's just downloading them to his workstation and burning CDs. So, but he's creating all of these, simultaneous connections. The next report I'm going to take a look at is our application set overview. We have a very robust application signature database, which helps us identify things like streaming media, like peer-to-peer traffic. And those are things that could be a concern for you and your network. Again, correlating these reports is very simple. I can correlate the report by group, directory user, application, what application is actually causing this peer-to-peer traffic. and I can identify issues with users, and then once I go up into my Manage tab, take some control back over this type of traffic. So BitTorrent L7, I want to correlate that report by directory user, find out who my culprit is there. And this is going to show me that I have one user, Jay Doxson, who's doing all of that BitTorrent L7 traffic. And I definitely want to take some control and take care of Jay's activity and make sure that it's not a threat on my network. The final report that I'm going to go to is our directory user overview. And this is, again, one of those kind of one-stop shop reports for identifying just who my top bandwidth users are on a regular basis. We do have the ability to broadcast these reports out in a beautiful PDF format on a weekly basis or daily basis, whatever works best for you. But being able to see everything in just a quick snapshot, I can see that overall traffic, overall bandwidth for my users, Kevin McCanson is #1, Jay Doxson, who is my friend doing all that BitTorrent activity, and then where's Nate? Nate's down here towards the bottom here, #7. So, I'm getting a nice quick glimpse of my users and who my top bandwidth user is. I can also click into one of those individual users, again, kind of going back to productivity or HR issues, and see a real quick glimpse on the one particular user that I pull up. I'm looking at Kevin McCanson. We knew he was doing a lot of streaming media, but it also helps me give me a wonderful total traffic graph that shows me when he's most busy. Is it during his lunch hour that he's doing these things? And maybe I need to contain the amount of bandwidth that he can utilize for streaming media, but maybe it's not a productivity issue. So again, you can identify all these types of all these types of information, or gather this information from going through the reports in the appliance. So we've got total application traffic, streaming media being his top one, web requests by host, Cowbell is #1. We've got some virtual communities and music. And then if he had any infections, we would be able to see that here and be able to go and rectify that situation. So now we're going to leave the reports, and we've been able to identify quite a bit of information. We know that there's probably a bit of a BitTorrent problem that we're going to take care of, and maybe there's some streaming media issues that we need to contain a little bit. Maybe we need to put some limitations around Facebook and the amount of access that Nate has to that Facebook. But then we also want to take into consideration some mission-critical applications. Let's pretend for a moment that it's important that our Salesforce CRM works well. I always use the example, too, of my demo box having good access. But then there's also things, like I mentioned earlier, the insurance billing systems. For schools, it could be online testing, timed critical testing, those types of things. So I'm going to take those things into consideration when I am running some policies. I'm going to highlight just these first three just by speaking about them, and then we will jump in and I'll show you how we create internet usage rules, shaping rules, and then tie those things together. So first, let's talk about groups. I mentioned earlier we do integrate very tightly with Active Directory and eDirectory, and so that's one way of setting up groups, is using that existing infrastructure. You can also create groups within the IC control, such as a range of IPs or a portion of a VLAN, things like that. Then we also have the ability to set up time of day rules. Time of day rules would be really great for things like handling Facebook. Maybe you want to allow folks to go to Facebook before or after hours, or during lunch, but not during the business critical hours. You could set up policies around that. If we're also looking at a positive shaping policy for things like access to online testing sites, you could set up policies that would reflect that, and again, give those users a desired result using that application or website. Then we have our block page manager. And our block page manager is a stock page that is available in the system. When someone tries to access content that you're blocking, that block page manager pops up. We do give you the ability to have the full HTML code so that you can then customize that page, put in a school logo or a company logo, put information in there as to who to contact if they're having an issue getting to a particular website. So now let's jump into the internet usage rules. And this is where you're going to set up your filtering policy, so blocking specific content, websites, things like that. I'm going to bring up this strict policy as my example so that you can see a policy that's already created. So within this policy structure, you're going to first select, you're going to name your policy. This one's called strict. And then you're going to pick a traffic flow rule set. We do application, web filter, anonymous proxy guard, which is a patented technology in our box that helps prevent folks from bypassing or circumventing your filter. Because we're an inline device, typically deployed inline, we can see all ports and protocols and be able to identify that type of traffic. We also do full SSL. So if you are interested in having that level of protection and looking and digging into those certificate-based transactions, we will act as that man in the middle and authenticate that packet, decrypt it, and then recrypt it and allow it to pass. So blocked categories is a great list of information which you can choose from and block information based on category. And it's as easy as simply grabbing from the left and adding it to the right. And you have a policy structure set up for block categories. You can also do blocked URLs. This is where you're going to just make sure that certain websites are completely blocked. And our engine will do a quick check for you as we go, as I type. And it will allow you to see what specifically will be blocked and what will not be blocked based on what you enter up here. And you can also feel free to use wildcards around the domain so that you can block that full URL, that full domain. Okay. Another thing that I like to talk about when we talk about web usage or internet usage rules is our dynamic content analysis engine. So everyone has categories and lists and databases that they are crossing information and checking information with. And everyone is just as good as their database, as accurate as that database can be. But there are new websites that come out all the time, right, constantly. And what our system will do is if it's something that is not in our database, we will actually dynamically analyze that information on that page and rate that page and see if we can identify it. And if it looks like porn, smells like porn, we will identify it and categorize it as porn and then block it for you if that's what you have set up. And then that information is sent to our headquarters and is actually human analyzed to make sure that our categorization was accurate, and then all the systems in the field will be updated within the next 24 to 48 hours. So you've got that extra level of protection and really keeps our miscategorization, or I'm sorry, uncategorized traffic to a minimum. We can also do the same thing for allowed URLs that we do for blocked URLs using our wildcards and being able to put websites in there in order to have them always be allowed. We also do blocked file types and MIME types if that's something that you're interested in. So the next part of our journey is setting up shaping policies. So it's great to be able to block content. It's wonderful to be able to block certain things and not allow certain pieces of traffic on the network. But it's also a good thing to be able to control everything else that you're going to allow and make sure that you're getting the maximum utilization out of your current bandwidth. I am going to pull up this strict policy. I'm sorry, I hit the wrong button. Let's go back to shaping rules. So we're going to create a new shaping rule. And again, I'm going to take into consideration those things that we learned going through the reports. And I really like to speak to about our product as a real tool for educating because you're making educated decisions on how you're handling your bandwidth and your internet connection. I'm going to call this the sales group shaping policy. I love to pick on sales. And we could overall pick a max upload and download for that particular group and set a priority level on the network. But I'm not going to do that this time because I really feel like I want to really dig in and I want to get more granular. And I've got Jay and Kevin and Nate. Those folks we're going to pretend are in the sales group. And when I set this policy, it's going to take the control back from them and allow other things to have better access to the internet. My first challenge is that streaming media. And how do I just contain it? I don't necessarily want to tell Kevin, hey, you can't stream media on the network. But I definitely want to control it, and maybe it's as easy as just taking streaming media and putting some priorities around it, setting some limits as far as 20% max upload and max download, and then also adding a priority level of a low priority level. Then I can also take something like peer-to-peer traffic, and I could even set that to have a custom configuration of 2 kilobits. That is going to not put up a block page, right? But it will, however, make it painfully slow for Jay to be trying to access that BitTorrent activity. Now, I've taken now 2 approaches to, kind of creating what I would call a negative shaping policy, constraining something down. But the next thing that I want to do is now take and lift something up and put it ahead of everything else. So, for example, VoIP chat. There's nothing worse than a voice connection that has little blips in it from here and there. So what I want to do is make sure that my voice has 80% connection, higher priority on the network, or even highest priority on the network. And then I could also take something like, let's see, VPN. Let's make sure that VPN has high access. We'll give it 80% and give it a higher level on the network. So now I have some applications, and I've controlled some applications, but we always want to take it a step further. We always want to give you the most granular control over your total content. So I'm going to take that to the next level by selecting specific URLs, categories, file types, and MIME types. Remember that Kevin McAnson, he was accessing Grooveshark. So really Spotify wasn't much of a problem, right? Pandora wasn't much of a problem, but that Grooveshark was. So maybe I want to just put some control around Grooveshark. Again, it's going to affect Kevin because he's in my group that I'm going to assign this to. So maybe I just want to limit Grooveshark to 20%. And I can add that policy. What if I wanted to just take things on a category level? What if I thought, well, you know what, virtual communities, I'm not going to get as specific as Facebook. I want to handle it all. I want to handle my Match.com, my eHarmony, my Facebook. I want to handle all of that together. I can also create a policy around virtual communities. I'm going to make sure that it doesn't take up over more than 30% of my total bandwidth. And then I can also do this again for file types and MIME types. If I wanted to handle MP3s in some certain way, audio file, if I was seeing a lot of that type of action on my network and I wanted to contain it, I could. And then I can also, again, create, let's pretend we have online testing. Making up a URL here, onlinetesting.com. Again, setting a policy that is more positive, right? Throwing that into the front seat above other pieces of traffic. And I add that, and now I'm going to save my policy that I've created. And as you can see, the management interface is very simple. It takes you through these steps. If you just simply click through, it builds that policy for you. And then you jump into your policy manager, and you assign that the policy structure to the group. I'm going to use this strict group as my example. It's a group that's already created and tied to a directory infrastructure database. And I'm going to now apply policies. If I had a multi-rule policy, if I had set up a time of day, I would add that there. But I'm just going to take this for a simple approach. And I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to use my strict policy, which was the one that I opened and showed you under my internet usage rules. And then I've got my shaping policy here called the sales group. And then here's my remote rule. If I wanted to apply a remote rule so that when the folks are off network and I have my mobile device manager running on there, or mobile client manager running on there, I could set a policy for that so that when they are off the network, they still get that strict policy. I'm going to hit save. And now my internet connection will react. And those policies are now going to take effect. We're not going to drop packets. We're just simply going to sort of lasso those pieces of traffic that we wanted to slow down so that other things can now perk up and have better access to the internet. So I hope that that presented the product and was informative to everyone. I'm going to jump back over here to my PowerPoint, and I just want to highlight the models of our appliances. So we start at an LX20, which will handle 20 megs of sustained throughput with all features turned on, and it goes up from there. LX50 is a 50 meg, LX200 supports 200 megs, DX500 is a 500 meg box, and then our DX1000 is a gig. We can also support higher throughputs using load balancers. Again, if you need more information about that, please contact sales@untangle.com. So a quick reference page for resources. Our website is fantastic. It's newly reinvented and launched. So take a look at the website when you get a chance, and take a look at a couple different things. There's a lot of information about IC control. There's information about our mobile apps. And then there's also a page about Help Me Decide. Like I said at the beginning of the presentation, Untangle offers 2 product lines. And sometimes there is a little bit of overlap in features, but that Help Me Decide page will help you go through the check boxes to really determine which product would best meet your needs. So again, as I mentioned, sales@untangle.com is your go-to for more information, or the sales 866 number. We are also on Facebook and have a new contest going on, which I will bring up here. Super excited about these. To celebrate SysAdmin Day, we are doing a photo contest where you can submit a picture of yourself with the hashtag #UntangleRules in the photo, and the winner of the contest will get to choose whether they want an Xbox One or a PS4. So we highly recommend that you go and submit your photos, and also go and enjoy the other entries that we have that are pretty hysterical, and we're certainly enjoying them at Untangle. So thank you again for all your time today. We appreciate you taking some time to learn more about our product line. Do we have any questions that need to be addressed on the GoToMeeting? I show that we have a few minutes left. I finished ahead of schedule. That doesn't happen often.
Thanks, Emily. Can you hear me?
I can, Amy. Thank you.
Yeah, we've been answering some questions as they've come in on the chat panel, and most of the questions we had are around the differences between NG Firewall and IC Control. Would you mind throwing up the slide from the beginning for those who joined late, and just bring that off one more time?
Absolutely. And again, that Help Me Decide page on our website really goes through each of the features that each product line has, and will help you decide exactly what it says, which product is a better fit. But the NG Firewall is for small to medium organizations, and it includes, all-in-one functionality with firewall and routers, a lot of network functionality. And then the IC Control is for larger organizations and really concentrates purely on content management. So managing your internet connection. It really focuses on everything coming to and from the internet.
Okay, great. Thanks. We're just looking at a couple more questions here.
Great.
Okay, we're just we're pulling up the slide. I think we're missing the slide on the sneak peek of the new release.
Oh.
Yeah, on the latest copy of the presentation. We're just going to pull up the 954 slide. Just a second here.
Okay, great. Yeah, that'd be good. Should I? Who should I make presenter? Daniel?
Okay, just a second. We're gonna try to grab that.
Okay. Okay, cool. Sorry, I had compared the two presentations and thought I had the latest one. I'm going to go back to the page with resources too, so that
Am I muted? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
yes.
Okay, we don't have the slide available, unfortunately, so let me just verbally walk through this. We have BYOD, the captive portal one-time authentication is going to be available in the new release. The cookie is going to be delivered for initial user authentication, so you're no longer going to have the need for the device to sign in again and again, even if the IP address, location, or access point changes, which is terrific and something that our customers have been asking for a long time. Finally, we have report broadcasting. Reports are now created and distributed directly from an IC control appliance. Your data will never leave the appliance for report processing, and this will allow for reliable delivery of reports to multiple stakeholders. And last but not least, the multi-browser support that folks have been waiting for will have full compatibility for Chrome, Firefox, and Internet Explorer, which is terrific. We have a couple other questions from the chat panel. Did you want to make a comment about SIPA compliance, since we're well loved by many K-12 school districts?
Absolutely. So we can, with our filtering engine, definitely make you SIPA compliant or help with SIPA compliance for your K-12 institution.
Okay, great. And then a couple of folks were asking if there's a software-only version yet of IC Control. We answered this on the chat panel. No, there is not a software version that's hardware agnostic the way we have for NG Firewall. However, if you're interested in trying out IC Control as a virtual machine, we have a beta version available if you head over to forums.untangle.com. So you might want to check that out there. Let's see what else we've got here. Okay, and it looks like we've handled most of the questions that have been coming in the chat. I just want to encourage anyone who didn't get their questions answered. There's two ways to get immediate help. One is to head on over to the forums. There's an IC Control specific forum where you can go and talk to the technical team, like the engineers. You're also welcome to contact sales directly after this. We're standing by both as on the phones at the number on your screen or over at sales@untangle.com via email. And we're happy to walk you through this demo that Emily presented today. Is available on our website under the IC Control demo link. We'll also be sending everybody who registered a recording of the webinar, and we'll post it up on YouTube so you can share that with people in your organization.
Great. Thank you again for your time, and we look forward to helping you in the future. Have a great day, everybody.